Well, hello to everybody here. It's Teresa Sanderson. Oh my goodness. So excited to connect with you today. We are continuing our series on the podcast, Dare to Do Nursing Differently, with our Nurses Feed Their Young expert interviews. And I am really excited to introduce a dear friend of mine, Muggs Haugen, who is from California. Muggs has been a nurse for a number of years, and she's also now working in the coaching space. So we've got a lot to share with you today. Muggs, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Teresa. It's an honor to be here with you today.
Oh my gosh. And look, we both wore pink, so there was no memo, but hey, we're good.
Love it.
Now, for those of you who don't know Muggs Haugen, I want to give her an opportunity to just introduce herself to you. And Muggs, our viewers and audience are usually very interested in learning about how did you get started as a nurse? What kind of work have you done? And that kind of thing. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, gosh, it's a long story, but I'll keep it short. I have been a caregiver probably most of my life. I started out very young in my family. I'm one of 9 children. I'm seventh of 9 children, so big Irish Catholic family, right? And my grandmother lived with us for a short time, and she had what we believe was Alzheimer, but at the time they didn't know that and didn't call it that, right? They thought she had a brain tumor, etc. Anyway, she lived with us, so I helped caregive for her when I was like 5, 6 years old. She was in our home, and we would help feed her and just all kinds of stuff like that. And her sister, my Aunt Nina, my great Aunt Nina, also lived with us, and I adored her. And she had the best sense of humor. And I just remember, I would help take care of her too. And it was just a wonderful thing. And I've always been drawn to the geriatric population, probably because of my early childhood stuff. But so, and then later in life, my father was diagnosed with metastatic lung cancer.
Oh,
And at that time, I was the only single daughter still around. And so I actually was living with my mother and father at that time and helped my mom during his chemo treatments and through his death, etc. So
wow.
lots of family history of caregiving. And then I became a nurse after having 2 children. I decided that I wanted to go back into my nursing. It was something I always wanted to do, but life got a little bit lifey. Met my husband, had a couple kids, and then I decided to go back to school. And thankfully, my husband was extremely supportive and supported me through nursing school. So I had 2 little kids, went through nursing school, and it was just a lovely experience, something that I always wanted to accomplish. And I was always very thankful that my mother was still alive to see me accomplish that. So that was always so
Oh.
special to me. So that's kind of how I got into nursing, just something in my heart, I think. And I had an aunt, my father's sister, who was a Navy nurse.
Oh,
And she
wow.
became the director of nursing for a very well-known nursing program down in Orange County. So I feel like I kind of always wanted to be like my Aunt Joanne, who my middle name was named after her. So anyway, that's a little bit about my past. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just love that. So you started out as just a kid with a very nurturing heart, and ready to kind of step up and serve and help support. And that's so much of what I see in you still today is still that attitude of, just let me give, let me serve, let me help and support. So love that. So tell us a little bit, I know in the last year, I've gotten to know you more in the business space as a nurse entrepreneur and showing up as a nurse coach with a specific program that you've developed yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now in traditional nursing and even outside of that as a nurse entrepreneur.
Yes, thank you, Teresa. Well, my background in nursing pretty much was I started in the cardiac unit, and then I also did the emergency department for about 11 years, which is a very long time to be in any emergency department. But um,
Exactly.
so I do have mostly a background in cardiac and emergency medicine. So I honestly, I love my jobs. However, that being said, the ER, I got really burnt out. So
I
I got to
bet.
that space where I felt like it wasn't real safe. I didn't feel like it was continuing to serve me as a person. I felt like I was not bringing my best compassion to the bedside. I was
Mhm.
feeling very fatigued. I would come home after work and practically collapse. My husband even started to worry about me. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No," you know. And I think
Wow.
a lot of, and that was pre-COVID, right? So um, it's interesting. So then my oldest sister, Kathy, she got diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, and I took a leave of absence from my job in the ER and helped her and her family through her transition. And she went
Mhm.
pretty quickly. She went once from diagnosis to death was about 4 months.
Oh my.
But I was honored to be able to, first of all, do that and to support
Hmm.
her and her family during that time. We did get hospice in, and it was a wonderful service. But I was there a great deal of that time. And I can look back now on that, and I feel like it was one of the greatest gifts as a nurse and a person that I've ever been
Wow.
given. So it's just, I miss her every day, but I know that she's out there watching for me, and I have my own personal angel. So
I
that
love that.
that event pretty much spurred me to do my Anchored Heart coaching. So I named it
Really?
Anchored Heart in memory of my sister, my anchor, Kathy, because she was
Wow.
more than a sister to me. She was like one of my best friends. We lived a block apart. We would walk on the beach together and tell each other stories. We'd share meals, and I,
Oh
I
my.
basically walk over to her house all the time. Anyway, so it was a huge, devastating loss for me. And I think that kind of catapulted me into thinking, okay, what do I want to do with the rest of my days? And I felt like I could really help serve others who had maybe suffering from burnout, maybe being in a position that's not no longer serving them.
Hmm.
Um, and not necessarily to get them out of nursing. Like I'm doing my life coaching now, and I'm transitioning
Yep.
from my full-time nursing to I'm now part-time nursing and full-time coaching, which is one of my goals, right? Was to do that.
Yeah.
And my goal is to eventually retire from nursing and continue my life coaching business. So
I
that's where
love
I'm
that.
at right now, and I'm loving my life. So it's
That is
good.
incredible. That is incredible. And just a couple things, I can hear in your story how significant it was to lose your sister. And as a former hospice nurse and agency owner, I recognize how tough those losses can be. And I think too many times in nursing that we discount how often that happens. How often do nurses see that in general? But then also when it happens to us personally, it can be really profound, even if you're work, even for those of us who work in this profession. So I love that you had that experience, and I love that you found the richness of it. I've often said of hospice that I believe it's our last personal growth opportunity as humans, and you see so much beautiful transformation happen in people during those final days and months. And so just I love that you were able to experience that and convey it, but also that your sister is your anchor. She is the base of your Anchored Heart coaching.
Mhm.
That's just fantastic. So a couple of things you said too that really got me that I want to touch on is, how you mentioned, I'm not looking to help every nurse I work with step away from the bedside. You're really working to empower nurses to back away from burnout and stay in their roles. Tell us a little bit about how you go about doing that.
Absolutely. I feel like when we learn to basically put ourselves first for a freaking change, which it's obviously taken me decades to learn how to do that. I think that it's so important for us to learn that, we have, taking care of ourselves, basically. It's not being selfish, but it's actually a cornerstone to truly being of service to those that we want to care for, right?
Exactly.
So I feel like having that compassion at the bedside is so important because studies have shown that compassion is actually a salve or the solution to burnout, not the other way around.
Wow.
So it's kind of interesting. And I just love that because I feel like we want to bring our best selves to our workplace, right? So if we're not filling our own cup first, as they say, then it's really hard to come in when you haven't got enough sleep.
Yeah.
When you're just totally exhausted and fatigued and you're not physically in shape, right? So
Hmm.
that was another transition that I went through, getting my physical body into a place that I was healthier, happier, more peaceful
Yeah. Hmm.
around my food. And I lost 60 pounds in 8 months.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that is really another thing that catapulted me to helping serve others that may be looking for solutions in not only their workplace, but in their own health and well-being.
Wow, I love that. And I have to say, I've only known you as this petite version of Muggs Haugen. So I want to say congratulations,
Thank you.
on achieving what you've done. And I've known you for some time. And, obviously you're just, I mean, you seem to be living your best life. I see a woman who is vibrant and you travel and and you take care of one of your granddaughters and all of these lovely things. So yeah, that's just amazing, amazing. Well, I am honored, Muggs, to have you as part of our Nurses Feed Their Young expert team. It's just, you're going to be such a great blessing to the nurses um, in the community who are, I mean, we can't deny that nurses, many, many nurses are struggling and suffering from burnout, compassion fatigue, all of these things, right? So I'm just really excited to have you there to provide support, real support. To nurses who need it. So tell us a little bit about, what drew you to the Nurses Feed Their Young movement and then, prompted you to say, hey, I'll dedicate some of my time and talent to this community to support the other nurses.
Well, I think the nurses feed their young. First of all, I love the name, right? Because the old adage about nurses eating their young is just so
Yes.
negative and such a negative culture that many people have been through, lived through, and are still to this day, going through. So I
Yeah.
think, for me, nursing has been very, very good to me. It has been an amazing career.
Mhm.
I feel blessed to do what I love. And I feel like there are so many nurses out there, um, like you said, still suffering, especially post COVID, right? As you know, the numbers of that, like, a third of the United States nurses actually quit their jobs during
Yeah.
COVID and post COVID. And that's a huge number, right? So there's a lot of nurses out there who are still suffering, I believe, and a lot of them not really knowing where to move forward.
Yeah.
So I think that empowering nurses to understand, that basically the power is within them to make the changes that they want to see in their lives so that
Hmm.
they can live a more balanced and joyful life. And that's what I teach in my Anchored Heart Living program, is helping them get a vision of a life they would absolutely love living. And then we work on tools that can absolutely transform their lives and take them from that burnout to more inward empowerment, self-care, setting boundaries, um, their physical, health.
Hmm.
So whatever they may be struggling with, I can really help them move forward into a vision that really serves them. And that may be staying at bedside nursing, or it may be finding a different avenue in nursing. As you know, there are many avenues that nurses can take.
Yes.
And that's another thing that I always loved about nursing. I don't know nothing about birth and babies, but I love my cardiac and emergency stuff. But thank God we all have our gifts. And I think
Yes.
that's so important in nursing. And that's one of the reasons I love the profession. And I want to see people thrive in this profession.
Oh my gosh. I just love that. I love it because, I talk a lot about where we are in nursing and how 33% of our new grads are quitting the profession within their first 2 years, those staggering numbers. And then we all know our veteran nurses are tired. They've been waiting for the new grads forever. And then the new grads come in and things are, challenging and they don't have support and all of these things. So it's just a mix because what I see happening is newer nurses don't have support, but also our veteran nurses don't have support. One of the primary reasons that our seasoned nurses are leaving is lack of leadership gets cited. And we also can't blame our nursing leaders though, because they haven't received any training on how to lead. So it's this big onion, and we have to begin peeling back the layers so that we can create a better future for nursing. Within the last year, I said, this is the first time in my life I've ever thought our nursing profession might just implode. And what would a hospital look like if there were no nurses? What would it look like? Because nurses are who keeps the doors open. We're the ones who are there 24/7.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But it's
Yeah.
but it's a scary time. And I'm with you. The nursing profession has been good to me. It's a career I was able to fall in love with, even though I started out as a music major in the arts. But
Awesome.
it's been a great kind of serendipitous journey. So I just love that with your knowledge and expertise, you're going to be showing up in the Nurses Feed Their Young online peer support community to provide real support to nurses in need. So I just want to thank you for showing up, for stepping up, and being a part of our expert team. Thank you, Muggs.
Well, thank you, Teresa. It's really an honor, and I really look forward to serving those in our community. Like I said, I feel like there's so many systemic issues like that you're speaking to, and if we can just get nurses more empowered and really come into their own selves, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's really going to pay off in the systemic in the bigger picture, right? So
I agree.
that's
I
really
agree.
important. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Now, before we go, I do want to give you an opportunity to share with our audience today. How can they connect with you outside of the Nifty movement or the Nifty community? Because I see you out there on social media and you're doing all kinds of things. So where can people find you?
Well, I have my Anchored Heart Coaching Facebook thing and Instagram. So Anchored Heart Coaching, once again in memory of my sister, my anchor, Kathy. And I also have anchoredheartcoaching.com, which is my website. And they can go there and they can download my 5 tips to bust through burnout.
Mm.
Um, and they can find out more of the events and stuff like that I do have. I do hold workshops and challenges, and I have a program that I'm serving my nurses with right now. So it's
Oh
it's
my
really fun. Yeah. Thank you
I
so much, Teresa.
Oh my gosh, I love all of that. And I love that you have that download, 5 tips to bust through burnout. That's amazing, just amazing. So thank you for that. All right. So this is going to conclude our episode today of the Dare to Do Nursing Differently podcast. I want to thank you again, Muggs, for joining me here. And to all of our viewers, we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you, Teresa.